my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Well, folks, we was just thinking about this the other day, and you know, it has to do with LeBron James competition. And we're going to talk about Steph Curry right here. And the more and more we keep hearing people come out with videos about LeBron James competition in the finals. And it kind of struck a chord with me because I never had nothing against Curry. But when we really delve into Curry in his career, yes, he's an all-time great. But this is why we don't think he's top 10. And why LeBron James' competition against Steph Curry was not all that great. And that this was on LeBron James why he lost to Steph Curry, not because Steph Curry and his teams were just greater than him, even with Kevin Durant. But this is what I want to look at. Is Steph Curry really overrated? And he's just not in the top 10 for me for these reasons. So he came in 2009, right? So 2009, 2010, he's going to play that season, right? So he doesn't even make one All-NBA until 14, right? So he had a chance. I don't care about no injury. I think he was injured 1 year. I don't care about it. It's just what it is, folks. They use it against Michael Jordan all the time. This is just what it is. Your years count. It's on you to be healthy or whatever. You know, accidents, I mean, injuries do happen. But so let's just say when they give out the awards, you might start in 1 year and you get it in the next year. So he got his first All-NBA. So first let's start with All-Star. He got his first All-Star, so 2010, 11, 12, 13. Let's do it again. 10, 11, 12, 13. 4 years, Curry had a chance to make an All-Star appearance. It never did until 14. Wow. We're just going to go over him as a basketball player first. He makes All-NBA second team in 2014. The same thing, folks. Took him 4 years to make a second team. And I'm going to tell you what I'm comparing this to. 5 years. It was 2015 when he made All-NBA first team. And to take it a little bit further, he only stayed on that All-NBA first team for 2 years. And then he didn't get back on it, until like, I think 2 years, 17, 18. Oh, I think 3 years. He didn't get back on the All-NBA, got back on it in 2019. He got it on first time, 15, second time, 16, the third time, 19, and the fourth and last, in 21. In 2021. So he's only got 4 All-NBA first teams, only stayed on it consecutively 2 seasons. 15, 16. But it took him 5 years to get on the first team. That's crazy, folks. 5 years to get on the first team. Does that make any sense? So before we even delve any deeper into this, can you think about any guy in the top 10 that it took them 5 years? Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. It took them 5 years. We ain't talking about MVP. We're not talking about a championship or anything like that. I know these type of things are difficult. But took him 4 years to be on the second team. In 5 years to be on the first team, folks. Wow. Let's take it a little further right here. This guy missed the playoffs his first 3 seasons in the league. First 3 seasons in the league, this guy misses the playoffs. He comes in the league the same year that LeBron James, I think they played the Celtics in that 2009-2010 season. I'm trying to see something real quick. So 2010, 11, and 12, Curry did not make the playoffs. What is that, folks? I'm just saying this is LeBron James' all-time great competition. And let's look at this real quick, because I really don't want to hear no excuses, because this is what these guys are going to do. They're going to make up a whole bunch of excuses. So I want to look at this right here. So 2009-2010 season, on his roster, some key names. Okay, Steph Curry, Monte Ellis, Devin George. I ain't trying to say these guys are all-time greats. Corey Maggette. These are some key names. He couldn't make. He couldn't make it. The next season, 2011, Steph Curry was on that team. Monte Ellis, David Lee comes on the team. Just some key names. They couldn't make the playoffs. Next season, couldn't make the playoffs with Andrew Bogut on the team now. Steph Curry's on the team. Richard Jefferson is there. David Lee is there. Nate Robinson is on the team. Klay Thompson now comes aboard as a rookie when he got drafted in 2011. This is 2011-2012 season. They didn't make the playoffs. The next season, they make the playoffs, and I think this is a year they get Draymond Green. So 2013 NBA playoffs, and we'll look at this. So that year they had to play Denver. Now they did upset Denver. I'll give them credit for that. They upset Denver, and then they got smoked by Golden State. Okay, nothing wrong with that. They were a 6 seed. Curry's first year in the league, or not in the league, in the playoffs, he's a 6 seed. The next season, they play the Clippers and they get smoked. The next season will be, 2014. And they get smoked by the Clippers. No, they didn't get smoked by them. They took them to 7. They were a 6 seed again, folks. And this is where it gets crazy right here. This is where it gets crazy. Look at this. The next season, 2015, guess what happened? All of a sudden, they are a number 1 seed. What? And guess what else? OKC doesn't even make the playoffs that season because I think Kevin Durant was hurt basically the entire season. So they don't even make the playoffs. OKC doesn't. Why is that so crazy? His first 3 seasons, he don't make no playoffs. 0, zilch, nothing. He doesn't make the playoffs. His 4th season in the league, he's a 6 seed. And they don't go nowhere. They get smoked. That's the 5th season. He's a number 6 seed now. The 5th season, he's a number 6. And I think they get beat in the 2nd round. So what's so crazy about it is because on the 6th season, after being a 6 seed, the 5th and the 4th season in the league, and not making the playoffs the first 3 seasons, what's so crazy about that? You go all the way to a number 1 in 2015 when you was a 6 and a 6 in 14 and 13, and didn't make no playoffs in 12, 11, and 10. Wow. Oh boy. I've never seen nothing like that in my life. Usually, maybe you might come in, you might dominate, maybe you might ascend. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we talk about Michael Jordan, how he ascended. You know what I'm saying? He didn't go back. He kept going forward as far as winning in the playoffs. Couldn't get out the first round. Then he went to got beat in the 2nd. Then he went to the 3rd. Then he kept staying in the 3rd. Or, you could say that about Isaiah Thomas. You could say that about a lot of guys. But to go from 3 consecutive years not making the playoffs, and then 2 years in a row, you was a number 6 seed, get knocked out in the first and second round, and then you go all the way to the top. Something's got to be going on, folks. So let me tell you what's going on here. Well, first of all, we saw in 15, Kevin Durant in OKC didn't make the playoffs. And I know a lot of you guys are saying this, and that's cool. The West was tough. I'm not trying to say that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But Kevin Durant didn't make the playoffs in 2015, right? Because he was essentially hurt all season. So OKC didn't make the playoffs. So to me, OKC Thunder, after San Antonio, well, to me, after they made it to the NBA Finals and they played the Heat in 2012, that was it. OKC was supposed to dominate the West after that. Nobody else was supposed to dominate it from then on. The only reason, and I'm not trying to hate on the Spurs, the Spurs are a great team, and I'm going to show you how great they are. But OKC, this young up-and-coming talent, was supposed to be dominate. That was their time. That was their time to dominate. They had a loaded squad. The problem was that, well, 14, well, you could say 13 and 14, right? The OKC Thunder with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and, Ibaka, that team was loaded. Russell Westbrook, why they couldn't dominate the West from 12, when they made the finals, all the way for a long time. I would think about until 2016 or 17. The reason why they couldn't do it, and the reason why the Spurs was in the finals in 13 and 14 is because they lacked the fundamentals. You still had an old Spurs team in there, an old Spurs team that was still down with the fundamentals, folks. It trumped athleticism. That's what happened. It trumped athleticism. So this is why in 13 and 14, you didn't see OKC back in the finals. I don't care what happened in what series. We just know this about Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, all these type of guys. They lack the fundamentals of old school players. You could not win based on athleticism back in the day. You just can't. You'll get ran the hell off the court if you was playing a fundamental team and you was just, we got some great athletes. That's a joke. They don't care back then. They will make a joke out of you real quick. Okay? Everything back then was about X's and O's. They didn't care about your athleticism. It was great if you had athleticism coupled with fundamentals. That was great. That's why the Dream Team was untouchable. The 92 Dream Team, you can say all the Dream Teams really, because the fundamentals. They will pick you apart with fundamentals. We saw Utah beat the hell out of some, 97, 98. Pick them apart with fundamentals in the playoffs. The problem was the Bulls were just more fundamentally sound. And a little bit more athletic, but look at this, folks. By the time they start winning in 2015, there was no more of those great teams in the West. The Lakers, the Spurs were done. Who else was in there? That's what I'm saying. OKC wasn't there that year. And then they continued to choke in 16. The Mavs were done. All the great teams, those Suns teams, all those teams were done. In 2015, they played, to get to the finals, they played AD in New Orleans. They played Memphis with Ja Morant. If I ain't mistaken, was he? No, that wasn't the Ja Morant. I think that was the Conley team, right? Let me see who's on that team real quick. Excuse me. I'm just saying. So the key guys on that team, oh my God, Vince Carter was on that team, Mark Gasol, old Tayshaun Prince, and Zach Randolph, the crybaby. I mean, you did have some veteran guys on there that could play, but their best days, it's not an all-time great team, or any team that, to me, that was battling in that West. That was, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14. Them weren't the good teams, folks. Who Who else was they playing against? A James Harden Houston team? One of the biggest chokers of all time. That's it. This was the new West, you guys. This was the new West. This wasn't, remember, what was going on between coming into the 210, 11, 12, 13, and 14? That was a lot of dudes that was 2000s, or a lot of teams that were great teams of the 2000s. Okay? So, I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry to bust your bubble. Sorry to be the burden of bad news. But Steph Curry's career is kind of overrated. It just is. I don't know what else to say. Listen, when we talk about teams getting old, this is what we're talking about. Oh, the Pistons got old. The Celtics got old. Bro, you never seen anything like this in your life. Show me where a team was doing nothing, absolutely nothing, an all-time great player with his team was doing absolutely zero. That's worse than LeBron James. We talk about LeBron James didn't make it. Didn't make the playoffs his first 2 seasons. And you can say, okay, I hear, oh man, the West. Look who was in the West. Look who was. I'm not buying it. They had a pretty good formidable team to be making the playoffs, at least their third year. But anyways, when he did make the playoffs, you're a number 6 seed. The next season, you're a number 6 seed. Your 5th season, your 5th season in the NBA, you're a 6th seed. And then the 6th season, you're a number 1 seed. You go from 6 to number 1. Wow. LeBron James never even got that. He never went from a 6 to a number 1. I'm trying to tell you, man, something's kind of fishy about that, man. Something don't add up right there. And, you know, I guess we can say, you know, all the good guys got old. We can point to that. It's right there. All the good teams got old. All the good players in the West got old. But the biggest part is, what I'm trying to say is, what was Curry's competition once he got to that number 1 spot? That first year, it was no competition. None. OKC was not in the playoffs. There was no competition at all. When we're talking about a Steph Curry-led team, there was no competition. And then now we're looking at 2016. Who the hell is he really playing? Who is he playing now? Kevin Durant was back the next season, but Kevin Durant don't play no defense. James Harden don't play no defense. Russell Westbrook don't play no defense. Who was he playing that was all-time great, that even plays any defense? Steph Curry, he never even made a defensive team. I ain't saying he don't play defense because he got 2 steals titles, but who was his competition that was really playing defense? That was, you know, a good team. That was really giving them fits over there in the West. The changing of the guard, it looks like it happened in 2015, right? Because everybody got old. And that's why they say, oh man, Curry changed the game. So let me ask you something. If that Golden State team is that great, and I know we'll never know because there are ages and what time they came in and stuff like that, but, you know, do you think that Golden State team, I'm serious, they've never played against any defensive teams. 0 great all-time defensive teams. Never. I think that the best defensive challenge they ever had, guess who it was? Guess who it was? Guess who it was? Yep, it was Toronto Raptors. Well, I guess you could say that year where they, you know, that incident happened with the Clippers, right? And they tripped up Zaza, whatever. They could have lost that. Yeah, they could have. They got real lucky. They got lucky a couple times. But I'm just talking about the old school teams. The Spurs. I'm not gonna go to the 90s or 80s. I'm just saying in that West right there. Do you think they could have beat that Spurs team? Do you think they could have beat the Kobe Lakers teams? What about the Mavs teams? Do you think they could really beat those Mavs teams that played defense? Hell, what about those Suns teams? I'm not for sure, man. I'm not trying to be mean, but when we look at Steph Curry's career, it don't look too impressive, man. Not saying he's not an all-time great. Not saying it's not too impressive. It's not too impressive. And that's why I started with the All-NBA. It took him 5 seasons. I don't care if he was hurt. He was hurt 1 season. It took him 5 seasons to make All-NBA first team. Do you think it's anybody, any all-time great player that's on that top 10 list, it took them 5 years to make All-NBA first team? Do you really think that? Michael Jordan, Wilt, Kareem, Kobe, Russell, Magic, what we say, Kobe, Shaq. Hold on, might have took Shaq. It might have did take Shaq 5 years. I'm not for sure. I got to go look at it. I thought it was only 4. Shaq has some stiff competition, man. But who else is on there? Hakeem, Larry Bird. No, man. It might have only took Shaq those 5 years. I mean, you could throw, of course, they're going to say LeBron James. No, nobody on there took 5 years to make All-NBA first team. And he took 4 years just to make a second. So he had other years where he could at least make the third if he was that great. I don't know, man. You guys tell me. I just find it a coincidence that this guy was doing absolutely nothing until all the most of those guys that went all the way until 2014. Now, I know a couple of them played a little bit longer, but they was just, drifting in the wind. They was just playing for money and stuff like that, whatever. Like your Tony Parkers and, I think Manu might have played a little bit more and Dirk might have played a little bit more. And I think Duncan played another year, whatever. But for the most part, those guys, up until that 2014 year, where the Spurs won a championship, not just the Spurs, I'm talking about those guys that played in the NBA in 2014 that were, running the West. A lot of those guys were from like the very late 2000s. Hell, some of them was from the mid 2000s. I mean, the late 90s. That's what I meant. The late 90s. In the early 2000s, maybe 2000, maybe 2001, something crazy like that. They were finished. And Curry came at the right time. He didn't come. He'd been in the league 5 years. But his reign happened at the right time. Because we do remember what? They took out defense in 2004-2005 season. Right? No more hand checking, no more of this. But what happened? A lot of those guys came from the 90s. So they was like, Not only is we going to keep doing it a little bit, but guess what? We're going to move our feet. We're still going to play defense. That's what we're going to do. So once you got to 2015, 14-15 season, is that just a coincidence? Now your new guys going into the prime, your Currys, your Durants, your Hardens, your LeBron James. Well, LeBron James, he was already in his prime. But these new crop of guys from 15 on, that will be the superstars of the league. Either going into the prime, already in their prime, guess what will be the new thing for them? And how do we know this, folks? How do we know this? Because these guys, for the most part, never made All-NBA defensive teams. The Russell Westbrooks, yes, LeBron James did early on, but we're talking about from 2015, the 14-15 season on. So your LeBron James, your Steph Currys, your Russell Westbrooks, your who do you call this guy? We just talked about him. James Harden, Slim Reaper, Kevin Durant, all these guys like that. And then the new guys that would be popping in too. Remember these new guys? Your Jason Tatums and, I'll give it to Paul George. He was playing defense. But these type of guys like that, for the most part, all your superstars and stars, the majority of them would no longer play defense at a high level. He just wouldn't. What I consider the All-NBA defensive first team, I consider these are the great defenders in the league. Right? The second team will be the good defenders. That's what I would consider them. So if you can't even make it second, you're not even a good defender. You're just average, right? Like Kyrie Irving, average. Luka Doncic, you're who is this? Chokers. I don't know how many SGA made. He might have made one or two. He ain't no slouch. These guys like this, folks. So the majority, I would say about 95% of your superstars and stars, starting in 15, were just average defenders. They could put up points and became average defenders. Yeah. Yep. See, to me, when I look at LeBron James, and he always made those all NBA defensive teams. Let's remember one thing: those aren't nothing but defensive help, right? He was a good help defender. That's why he made those teams. He was a good help defender. He wasn't a good on-ball defender at all. And how do we know? He barely was a good help defender. Well, he never had 200 steals in the season, and he never had 100 blocks in the season. That's basically how we know LeBron James, that's all he was. And he had countless years, he's been playing forever, to come up with 200 steals in a season or 100 blocks. A dude that's 6'9", this tall, can't come up with 100 blocks? That's nuts. The list just goes on and on for all-time great small forwards who have did it, or power forwards. Okay, so to me, he's more like a power forward in his era, especially from the era we're talking about from 2015 until now. This guy's a power forward. He ain't no small forward. Get out of here. He's no small forward. He's a power forward. He should be breaking records like that. The most blocks in the season by a small forward in this era. He should be breaking that record easily. Draymond Green is a better lifetime defender than this guy. And it's not even close. Go look at Draymond Green's resume. He's on a defensive team like 10-time defensive player of the year, led the league in steals or something. Like, really? Draymond Green? And he's 6'6". I was watching this Dude Raw, he was doing a piece, and he said that Draymond Green says he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And, Too Raw, he kind of got a chuckle out of it, right? Because it is kind of hilarious to see Draymond Green in the Hall of Fame. But the fact is, when you look at Draymond Green, his resume, you can't say he's not a Hall of Famer. Draymond Green is a Hall of Famer. When you talk about his championships, when you talk about his All-NBAs, you don't have a lot. When you talk about his All-Stars, you don't really have a lot. But the fact that he's got so many statistical accolades, well, not statistical accolades, he only got 2, I think, steals. He led the league in steals, and I think he was an assist leader, if I ain't mistaken, defensive player of the year in like 9 or 10 defensive teams. Bro, how do you keep the man out the Hall of Fame? That would be basically impossible. You can't. He's got way more accolades than Klay Thompson. Way more. It's not even close. And we already know Klay Thompson is going to the Hall of Fame, so more than likely. So, look, you guys tell me what you think, man. I'm just, the more I thought about this whole thing, and the more I researched it and, looked at it and stuff like that, it was just like, because I'm sick of hearing about LeBron James' competition. His competition isn't that good. His competition became greater than what it was because the whole damn West phased out. It seemed like at one time, you never seen nothing like that. A team just wallowing in misery by not even making the playoffs 3 years in a row. Then, the 4th year, number 6. Year after that, the 5th season, they get 6th again. And why is that? Well, it's not because Curry was trash. It's not because the Golden State Warriors were trash. In year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, nothing like that. It was because the West was that tough. And if I'm trying to tell you, if the West was that tough that he couldn't make the playoffs his first 3 seasons, and then the next 2 seasons he gets a number 6 seed, and in those 2 seasons, a number 6 seed, he never gets out of the second round, and 1 year he never gets out of the first round. So what does that tell you in the 6th season? When he pops up and gets the number 1 seed. Call that hate if you want. But that's just what it is, folks. It's a timeline, it's history, it's what happened. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, okay, Curry, he missed his first 2 seasons, and then he made the playoffs, lost in the first round as, 6, 7 seed, whatever, 8 seed. And then the next year, he was a number 5 seed, made it to the 3rd round. And then the next year, he was a 2nd seed, made it all the way to the conference finals. No! I guess you can say when you don't make the playoffs 3 years in a row, and you do make it the next year and the next year after that, I guess that's ascending. And then you go to the 6th seed and 6th seed 2 years in a row. I guess. But before all that, he never had to play in the conference finals. He never had a number 2 seed. He never had a 3. He never had a 4. He never had a 5. He was never at none of those. 3 years, didn't make the playoffs, and then 2 years in a row, the number 6 seed. What the hell happened to the competition in the West, folks? Because I always say 2014 was like, the grand finale of these great players telling LeBron James, you ain't like us. And the Spurs stomped his face into the mud and said, you'll never be on our level. You might have beat us by a lucky shot that somebody else hit, but we're coming back to stomp you 10 times worse than that lucky shot Ray Allen hit. That's what you call payback. That's what you call get back. That's what you call all-time great team. You know what's so funny? The way they beat the hell out of the Heat, they really didn't run through the West like that at all. If I'm mistaken, in that first round in 2014, the Mavs took them to a Game 7, the Spurs. So what was LeBron's excuse in the finals, getting stomped out 4-1 in the biggest, what do you call it? The biggest differential or something like that in the finals? What was his excuse when that old Mavs team? That was like the grand finale for them too, right? That was that was like their last shot that they had. As far as they were old. They gave it one last punch, and they ended up taking the Spurs to a Game 7. So again, we don't even know what LeBron's excuse is. How do you get the hell beat out of him so bad? You have 1,000,001 excuses for LeBron James. Ain't that crazy? It's like, if you have children, especially when they're little, they come with all these excuses, right? And you say, why'd you do this? Why'd you touch that? Why'd you break this? What happened was, and then this happened. It's just a little kid, say, yes, they don't want to get in trouble. So, they're going to make up an excuse. But it comes a time to where you're like, okay, you got to grow up. You got to act your age. You got to be responsible and be accountable for your actions. For LeBron James, that don't exist. It don't exist. That's why they can tell us this about Steph Curry. Right? They can tell us that this guy that beat LeBron James, this is why he lost, because he was playing Steph Curry. Again, folks, I don't care if it's the 15 team, and I don't care if it's the 16 team. You get those guys together because I think that's their prime, right? They only played together. I think their prime years, right, without Kevin Durant, was 15 and 16, right? Because remember, they played together in 14, 13, and I think Clay even played with Curry in 12. But we consider 15 and 16 before Kevin Durant their prime years together. The Clays, Draymond, the Bogus, the Currys, these type of guys like that. Do you really think those guys could beat up on the Spurs in the West like that? Or beat up on some of those Suns teams like that? Or beat up on the Lakers team like that? Or the Dallas Mavericks? I just don't see it, man. And if you notice, right, the whole, I don't know, the size of these guys kind of like changed. They were like bigger, stockier, bulkier, stronger looking from 2014 and back, right? And back. All the way until whatever. I'm talking about from the inception, from 2014 all the way back to the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, all this. The men were just bigger. They were just bigger. Go look at LeBron James playing in the 2000s. LeBron James don't dwarf nobody out there on the court. Everybody was eating. Everybody was men. And then look at from 2015 until now. All the dudes are like real skinny. They're not, they don't have any muscles. All they care about is their hair. Man, look at my hair, man. It's crazy. Dudes care more about their hair than their actual game. They're like women. Women care about their hair like that. Men shouldn't be caring about their hair on that level that these guys care about their hair like that. Bunch of sissies. Nevertheless, you guys gotta let me know, man. Is Curry's career really overrated? I don't know. Is it just when they say he changed the game? Was it changed? We can now clearly, I can say this. The game was able to change because those same guys weren't there. They weren't there. The same guys that he couldn't do nothing on in the West, the same guys he couldn't even make the playoffs on or get out of the second round, those guys were either old as dust or they weren't there no more. So he didn't come in and change the game for them. They were still playing their game. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. This was the years. He came in 2009, 2010 season. He didn't change a damn thing then. Nobody wasn't trying to be like Curry then. He couldn't even make the playoffs. He couldn't get out the first round. He couldn't get out the second round. He couldn't get a second seed, a first seed, a third seed, a fifth seed, a fourth seed. He only changed the game because now look who's in the West. Look who's in the West now, starting in 2015. The James Hardens. The Kevin Durants. The ADs. What's this guy's name? The Lane Times. These are the guys, man, that don't play no damn defense. Of course, the game is going to change because guys are going to let you change the game because there's no guys that play defense. Come on, guys. Let's shoot a whole bunch of threes because there's nobody to stop us. There's nobody to play defense. You don't believe me? Go look at 2015 in that Curry reign. 15, 16, 17. I don't even care when Durant was there. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That reign right there. Go check that out. And see who he was playing in the West. Go see who he was playing in the West. Versus who was in the West that was on top from 14 back. It ain't the same, folks. Who the hell was really playing defense in the West? That was that good. Okay, I guess you could say AD. If he's even healthy. Chris Paul. Kawhi Leonard, if he's healthy. But for the most part, it just wasn't the same dudes, man. The same dudes with the same effort. It just wasn't that. And that's why Curry couldn't do nothing. Couldn't do nothing with those guys. I mean, I hate to be mean, and I'm not trying to say Curry's not an all-time great, but they took advantage of a whole different era. And I don't even like to compare eras. I don't. I like to say, what did you do in your era? You know what I'm saying? That's what I like to do. And the fact is, when we look at LeBron James, he got his ass kicked in like 2 different eras. Why? Because of defense. They stopped him with defense, folks. You might have, got through a lot of that stuff, during the regular season and stuff like that. And he had a good defensive team too. But once he got to the playoffs, to the finals, it was like, no, we want this. What's winning a championship is one thing, right? That's like the ultimate goal. Nothing's better than winning a championship. But guess what's better than that? What's better than winning a championship? Winning a championship against the GOAT, LeBron James. So dudes is licking their chops. Do you hear this? This dude's supposed to be the next Michael Jordan. This the best dude. This the best guy in the league. Remember the international players that had to play this clown? You think people ain't sitting there in the background? See, these guys got proper etiquette. They ain't going to tell you and come on TV and talk bad and say all this stuff. Because for one, it's probably a gag order on them to shut the hell up, or they ain't going to be able to get their NBA benefits. But they know the dude is retarded. They know LeBron James is retarded. And they touted this retarded dude to be something he ain't. But when you have to hear this stuff as a basketball player, as an international player in 2004, the king, the chosen one, how does that make you feel? As a competitor. See, a lot of these guys today ain't competitors. Them dudes was competitors back then. So you can only imagine what these guys felt and how they was licking their chops. And it was like, well, this king of what? Yes, this guy got some athleticism, that's it. He ain't got no damn fundamentals. He don't know how to play team ball. And they beat him so bad, they didn't even let him play, hardly, in the Olympics. Got to the FIBA, they wore his ass out again. Right? And then we talk about when a Magic played him, we're going to get him. That means more. When you can beat, the greatest of all time, somebody calling themselves the greatest of all time. Show us. Boston was like, show us. The Mavs was like, show us. The Spurs was like, show us. So to beat somebody in the finals, LeBron James caliber, it means more. It's almost like if you beat Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wasn't supposed to win no back-to-back or no damn, especially wasn't supposed to win no three-peat. Y'all don't understand. Michael Jordan wasn't supposed to win no three-peat. The first three-peat or the second one. I ain't talking about the first 2 back-to-back. I'm talking about 2 three-peats. The third, let's just say the third championship and the 6th championship. Michael Jordan wasn't supposed to win that. He just wasn't. And then you had these other dudes, the first championship, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, the 5th. You think they didn't want to, tell their grandchildren they beat Michael Jordan? Yes. But Mike wasn't having it. But nevertheless, we're going a whole different way. But Curry is just, I'm sorry to say it, man. He just what he is in this era. I just don't think he makes it in the 90s, the 80s, the 2000s. I just don't think he's that dude. Because I'm looking at his competition. His competition ain't about nothing. And then the further that, to put an explanation point is where I started from the beginning. Him not making an all-NBA first team for 5 seasons, folks. Not making an all-star team for 4 seasons. Now we're talking about the player. Remember, we went into his competition, the teams, the eras. But I want you to remember also Curry as the person, Curry as the basketball player. 4 years. 4 years. He didn't make the All-Star team. 10, 11, 12, and 13. Same thing with All-NBA. He made the second team. He made it took him, 4 years to make the second team. Hell, if you want to say 5, what would that be? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 5. The 5th year he made it. Or I was saying he didn't make it for 4 years. Whatever you want to say. But the All-NBA, it took him 5 years to make All-NBA first, folks. So I just want to know, where are you going to come with this excuse? Because we don't went all the way down the damn line on this guy. We went from the All-Star team. There's people who really never even make all NBAs and still make All-Star teams. So we went from All-Star teams, All NBAs, not making the playoffs for years, getting knocked out in the first and second round when he did make it. Never was his first 5 years in the league was never a 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed, 5 seed, and then he just jumped up to number 1 in year 6. And then when we look at his competition, the guys that he played against, all-time greats, where do they rank? Where's the all-time great defenders he played against? And it don't have to be positional. I ain't talking about positional. Where's the all-time great defenders that Curry played against? See, y'all trying to trump this, defense with offense. Hell, anybody can be even better if no defense is played on. And then we talked about the era guys starting at 15 on the superstars not being defenders at all, not making even All NBA second team. Like I would say 95% of them or more, way more than that, probably 98. 2015 until now. Look at the guys in the 2020s. Anthony Edwards never made defensive team. Booker never made defensive team. Jaylen Brown, Tatum, all these guys, Dame, Lane Con, never made defensive team. I'm sorry. This is why people keep Curry out of the top 10. And it's why I said a lot of these great players in this era, they don't have it like that. They don't have it in them to be a two-way player. They just don't. LeBron James really never had that in him. I think he got lucky because of his position at that small forward. Nevertheless, he didn't have it in him for too many years. And what he did have in him was, weak side help. Because he had some really good defensive teams, starting in Cleveland until he went to the damn Miami Heat. These were good defensive teams. So all he had to do was help. All he had to do was close out. He was a good help defender on those teams. He wasn't no better than Larry Bird defensively. So I still think Curry is better than LeBron James. I still think that. But all LeBron James had to do, I'm trying to tell you, I don't know what it is, but I know what it is. I'm trying to show you because the competition in the West we just never seen it like that, never before. Just evaporate like that. From teams getting old and players getting old and the change in the guard just changed like that. We never seen nothing like that. We always seen a struggle in the East and the West between teams. You know what I'm saying? This team would, go from this spot up. It would go up a notch. You didn't see a team go from 6 all the way until 1. I don't think I ever seen that. Now, I done seen a team be like number 3 or 2 or something like that, or be number 1 and drop down to 6. But to go from basically nothing, not making the playoffs, and then you was nothing, even at 6, 2 years in a row, and now you're at number 1. It only proves my point, man. How weak the NBA got. How weak, and that's crazy. The East, how weak the West got, but as weak as the West was, because of what the Golden State Warriors did by jumping all the way to 1 and 15, as weak as that West got, the East was even weaker. The East was even weaker. Bro, that time might have been the weakest era of all time. Right? From 15 on both sides, East and West, from 15 all the way until 19. That was the weakest era in NBA history, folks. And then you couple that with these guys built these super teams. What the hell was that? Wow. Just a time in NBA history, and they made that thing like it was, remember, the greatest competition ever. No, it wasn't. Look at the era, look at the teams, look at the competition. It wasn't. It was the weakest era, 4 or 5 year span. The weakest in NBA history, folks. And Curry, LeBron James, and Durant, and all these clowns were a part of it. Because all the other guys from 14 and beyond that were, early 2000s players, 90s, late 90s, they were gone. The NBA has been pushing this no defense, and this is what they got from these guys. Bye-bye defense. And let's try to make these guys more than what they are. Sorry, Curry fans. I just had to tell this story. Ain't nothing about it that's a lie. I done gave you the numbers, the facts, the stories, the history. That's it.